Welcome to CMOs Without Borders.
I'm Joel Crampton. I help financial advisors, RIAs, and wealth managers replace scattered marketing with strategic systems that boost AUM and production volume.
I'm Mandy McPhee. I am a fractional chief marketing officer and work with founders who are doing too much and need someone to turn their scattered marketing into a system that actually drives results.
We're joined today by Will Severns. He is co-founder of shareyourstory.com, and I've gotten to know Will over the past few months. He's here in Kansas City with me. I've got a stack of books from people who've been published on shareyourstory.com, so I've been able to meet those folks in person, and I'm just really excited about today's conversation. I think everyone feels like they maybe have a book in them, and so we're here with the experts to try to figure out how everyone can draw that book out of themselves and get that into the world's hands. So let me introduce Will. Go ahead and give us a little bit of background about you and your company.
Yeah, thank you, Joel and Mandy, for having me. Just so great and honored to be here after a couple months, man. You're right, of running into each other at different events. Man, it doesn't happen all the time where we get to celebrate local author book launches, but we love it when it happens. We work with authors, speakers, thought leaders across the country. And so our work isn't limited to just local. We truly work on a national scale. This is my co-founder, Alex Dimchek, and I. Alex and I worked at a local summer camp about 10 years ago. So 2012 through 2014, we were counselors together. Life kind of took us separate ways after summer camp as we were Then in 2020, we reconnected and started brainstorming this idea. Me on the writing and editing side, as I had my own content marketing company in Kansas City. Alex on the public speaking side, as he had his own speaking business out of Columbia, Missouri. We just said, let's brainstorm the two of them, how they could work together. And then we came alongside our first author, whose name was Colin Holba. He was an NFL long snapper at the time. We helped Colin write, edit, and publish his book in July of 2021. So that was author number one for us. And what's fun is that this morning, the morning of this recording, we signed our 207th author that we've gotten to work with over the last 3 to 4 years now. So
that's phenomenal.
Joel, wow. Yeah, after last night, Mark Schaefer maybe being 175 or 176. But it's a fun number for us to talk about and celebrate. But it truly is a drop in the bucket compared to how many people out there have it in them, you know, or people have said, where's your book? And they're going, well, maybe some, but people just don't know where to begin. And so we come alongside leaders through books, media, speaking, kind of wherever you're at along that spectrum. Some people who have been doing paid or non-paid speaking engagements for years, and they're finally ready to do their book, or vice versa. You know, they want to do their book to get into more of that. On the media side, we'll do podcast pitching to get people on more podcasts, create an awesome website, help you with email, newsletter marketing. And so, yeah, Joel, at the end of the day, people don't buy from businesses, people buy from people. And so we love working with leaders of organizations and helping them share their voice and stories, either internally of their own business growth or externally of their clients and amazing work they get to do. Yeah. So I'll pause there. And
we're all marketers. I think we all understand the power of storytelling and how much power that can essentially driving trust. Mandy and I are both in financial services, and it's a very trust-driven field. And so I feel like a lot of the business leaders that I'm talking to, advisors, founders, partners, the leaders of these financial advising firms or fintech founders, you know, they try to showcase their expertise in different ways, whether that's content marketing on LinkedIn or blog posting or showing up in media appearances. And so I think I've just seen a lot more people publishing their own books as a marketing tool for themselves and for their firm. Like I said, working with a financial advisor here in Kansas City, and he has his book launch going. So shout out to Mark and his book, One for All.
Founders don't realize that the emotional connection you can make in telling your own personal story to your audience is so critical to build a brand. So in book writing, in your posts, in anything that you're doing, that storytelling element is so critical to help build your brand and help build that emotional trust to your audience.
You know, you're talking, Will, about how your company has evolved over time. You're not just in the book publishing business, you're meeting those leaders where they're at in their journey, whether, like you said, if they haven't written a book or maybe they've already written a book. But can you tell me a little bit about the evolution of your company? It used to be called Streamline Books, right? And now it's Share Your Story. So can you tell me about how that's evolved?
Yep, great question. And love your thoughts, Mandy, on storytelling. I'll maybe swing back around to that. But first, Joel, your question. So Streamline Books, our LLC that we formed in 2023. Again, we got those first couple dozen authors under our belt, kind of that will it fly moment from 21 to 22. 23, we launched Streamline Books, LLC. And then recently, just 2 or 3 months ago, we shifted our brand to shareyourstory.com. Streamline Books is not dead. Streamline Books just came underneath that umbrella. So we have Streamline Books as our hybrid publishing wing. We have Story First Media, which, as I mentioned, that slow drip, consistent storytelling alongside leaders, and then Speaker School, which is helping them craft either their keynote, speaker coaching as they're looking to get into more of it. So that shift feels really good as we realized our authors, clients, speakers, they want more than just the book. Some of them say, guys, if all this is a gift for my great-grandchildren, then so be it. And we say that's awesome too. So it really depends on the goals of our clientele and what they want to do with their book. But I'll say, like a stained glass window. Books for us is like we can see a purple pane over here or a red pane. ShareStory.com for us is taking a few steps back to see the bigger picture. Mandy, you mentioned storytelling, and that means a lot to me because storytelling shows up for me when I tuck my kids in bed at night, and we tell stories. And we've done that for a couple months now, and I'll do 3 and 4 part series throughout the week. Story can be as simple as that, to sharing stories from your family, and your grandparents. Dave Gerhardt wrote a really great book called Founder Brand, and the power of the founder leading the way with story. So you guys are asking great questions. It's a great point on books are cool, but only if they tell great stories.
Yeah.
So Will, do you have a favorite book of the 207? Is that like picking your favorite child?
Oof. 207 children. Yeah, that's tough. No, people ask that question, Joel. It's great. Yeah. I say, look, you likely haven't heard of any of them, and they'll say, oh, who is it, because people say, well, I'm not Tony Robbins or Brene Brown. We're saying you don't have to be, you are you. And these conferences where it's a lot of the same people on stage every year, and we say how much wisdom's out in that audience, and we want to go tell those stories. But to answer your question, I think about, Dale Alexander is a great friend from Jacksonville. He's in the financial space. He's a CPA, and his desire and dream is financial literacy for the next generation. And so he wrote The Talk About Money. And he was probably author 6 or 7. He was a mentor of my brother's. My brother goes, Dale, Will help you. He'll get his book. You'll get your book down. So Dale is helping students with their first paycheck. That first paycheck you get after high school or college, it's going to be the biggest paycheck you've ever received in your life, and what you do with that first paycheck will determine. And so Dale leverages some of his connections at the Georgia State Board of Education, and they order 120,000 copies of Dale's book for graduating seniors in the state of Georgia. So this is 2 years ago after Dale launched his book. And it's things like that. We say a book makes your message portable. Leslie Wyrick out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. She's brilliant. Leslie is the sweetest. Sadly, her son in 2016, he died by suicide. Stud, college football player, never would have known it, right? And so Leslie's book, The Gifts of Grief, and she goes, you guys helped take my journey of grief and turn it into a vessel of hope for others. Because Leslie now, as an author and speaker on suicide prevention, she speaks to many military bases, individuals where you just don't know what they're going through, seasons of darkness. And so those are a couple, to name a few. And then maybe third, sure, I'll go Mark Schaefer from last
All
night,
right, there you go.
a mutual friend of Joel and I's, and
Yeah.
similar. He's One for All. That's the title of his book, Systemizing Kindness. And Joel and I know the proof is in the pudding. And when you think, oh yeah, so and so wrote the book on this, there's no one more equipped in Kansas City, the Midwest, as far as I know, to write that book that Mark did. People say, oh, does the world really need another book? And we say, yes and no. Millions of books. The world doesn't need a book, but at the same time, there's a world closer to home that does. That's why I'm so glad people like Mark are doing it.
Well, can you talk a little bit about the use of AI in storytelling and book writing? How much AI do you use? How much do you not use? And what's your thoughts on utilizing AI to do the writing?
Yeah, great question. The fact that Alex and I essentially started this writing and editing company in the face of AI over the last few years is not coincidental. I think that our business, we've been able to, I won't say take a stand. To your point, I use AI every day. Me and Claude, we're going back, we're dreaming. But as it relates to the long form, what we do is not content. What we do is art. And I'll tell people,
Love that.
Yeah.
talking Exodus, we serve two people. We serve Moses's, people with a call. Why me? I don't talk good. God's going, I know that, you knucklehead. Your brother Aaron, he's going to help draw it out of you. These people are brilliant project managers, writers, editors, designers, and we pair the two together. And the two of those, human to human, we do not lead with AI in the writing process. For us, it's a little more seasoning, on the side. It's chapter titles or subhead, we'll brainstorm there. But I'd say ghostwriting, which is about 50 to 60% of what we do. The goal of our ghostwriters, writing is a byproduct of what they do. The goal of our ghostwriters is to get in our author's head in a way that they bring the experience, financial planners. What do you mean? I've been doing this for 25 years. This sweet girl over here, it's like, that's not her job. You bring the expertise. She brings hers. And the pairing, she gets your expertise down on paper in a way that you couldn't. And so that's just really special to preserve, even though we're not negligent to the power and AI getting better. And we'll see. We'll take it year by year. But for now, it's so fun to watch those human-to-human connections flourish.
I like the framing about getting into your head, right? Which AI can't do. No matter how much you feed it, it doesn't get into the emotion that a person has, the empathy, the details that a person can convey to when speaking one-on-one with someone versus typing it into an AI platform. I was talking about with somebody else the other day about some content that I posted, and Joel commented on this piece of content because I posted, here's what AI told me I'm like over the last 6 months as a fractional CMO. And it gave me facts. It gave me, you're a fractional CMO, you have a podcast, CMOs Without Borders, you're very growth oriented. But Joel commented on my post saying, it doesn't get, AI didn't point out your warmth, your humor, your empathy, right? So AI can only go so far. It's not going to get to that, and I emphasize this purposely, that emotional connection that you need in a book, that you need in good storytelling.
Hey, so Will, and I think AI, I'm sure you get that question asked to you all the time because people can just, they have that feeling of with AI tools, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, that they can just write their own book or have AI write their own book, and it's basically just regurgitating something that's already been out there. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on how you're using AI for your published works to then take that volume of original content and then maybe chop it up into bite-sized pieces. So you not only have your book, but you've got shareable pieces of that content that author or that company can then share with their audiences. Are you using any AI tools to help your authors do something like that?
Yeah, good question. You're getting into a little bit of the marketing even beyond the book. The short answer is yes, we can and will do that, and that's a little bit more of that monthly engagement, depending on our clients' goals and how long we might be able to help them. You're right. Take that long form piece of content, art, and say, out of that one piece of long form content, I mean, man, what we just did for Mark Schaefer, the key word is leverage. Mark could do his workbook. Mark could do a journal, blank pages inside, and he might. Mark has thousands of LinkedIn posts, email articles, social media in one piece because we did the work, on coming up, and it's brilliant. You could do a post per paragraph. It's just there's so much. So you're right. It's just up to Mark and what he wants to do. Does he need our help? No. He's smart. He could do it on his own. He has his own team, his own marketing through CRC and so forth. But the answer is yes, we could. And do help people with that.
Gotcha. Okay. So how does your process go? So if someone raises their hand and says, Will, I want to write a book. I know there's a couple different paths that you can take people down, but can you just give us just the cliff notes on what that looks like?
Yeah, totally. So the short answer is you can visit shareastory.com. Our process, our pricing, everything is there. The investment alongside a hybrid publishing company like ours is to say, you pay us, we pay a brilliant team to come alongside you, of contractors, as I mentioned. And then once we bring your book to life, we don't take book royalties from you. You own everything. We are out at that point, and you get to do with your book what you want. People talk about ROI. And we say individual books sold is a slice of the ROI pie. It's a much smaller slice than what people realize. Many of our authors are leaders in business. They're speakers. For some of them, it's one or two clients or donors that lead to ROI because their audience finally gets to read who they are, gets to hear and glean their stories, and that helps build trust in the process. We do have some speakers where that's a few speaking engagements. So we love the ROI question because we get to say individual books sold, probably not. It's hard to move books. Look, you're going to move books through bulk. This organization is going to want to bring you in and they're going to want to order 100 books as a leave behind. And that's powerful because you don't have time to sit down and grab coffee with each one of them. But you can give them your book and they can read and glean from you in the process.
Do you have any authors that have hit any of the bestseller lists? And I know there's things that you can do to get on those lists without being $1 million sold book list. So there's strategies around trying to get that moniker of best-selling, whether it's on Amazon or New York Times. But do you have any authors that have hit any of those lists?
Right. Yep. Good question. So I think Joel and Mandy, one of the best things we do for our authors on the back end of the journey is set realistic expectations for them on the front end. And so, it's not thousands of books sold. It's not bestseller status. We say start with one. Start with the one person who was meant to read your book, and they're going, oh, okay.
Love that.
And once we help them reframe, I think that is what has created a mutually beneficial process. And I think the reason people like working with us is because that kind of takes the pressure off. Now, can we do it? Yes. But again, it's dependent on your goals, what you're willing to pay, because there are elements of the USA Today, Wall Street Journal, that is a pay for play thing. There's just no other way around it. The Amazon deal and is kind of a yes and no. It's fun. It's cool. And when that process pops and it shows up, hey, you're an Amazon bestseller. It's like, that's a cool thing for people. We don't water that down. But again, we say, hey, it's a little bit of gasoline on a fire. It's like, whoa, that's fun. When it comes down, which it does after a few weeks, that high of a book launch, we say, don't be discouraged. We say, we want to help you form kindling for a longer lasting fire. So not anti-bestseller, but we also don't lead with it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I've never thought of book writing in that way before, in the fact that you are selecting a specific niche audience, one person for that book writing, which is very similar to what we do in marketing, isn't it? We select a niche, ideal customer profile, and that's who we go after until we can get to that big bang bestseller type marketing. So great way to look at and frame a book story.
I think it just goes to start with the end in mind. What's the goals of this?
Yeah.
We all have limited time, resources to do anything in marketing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but writing a book is a marketing strategy. So you want to understand if you're putting money into writing the book and time and resources to do this, you want to have an end goal in mind and start with the end and then work your way back. What's the time frame look like if someone says they call you up, Will, and say, hey, I want to write a book? How long does it generally take from that first phone call to your book launch party?
Yeah, great question. Again, coming off of last night, celebrating Mark, is about 8 to 9 months.
Okay.
So about 8 to 9 months that Mark and I are over coffee. He goes, Will, I got an idea. And I said, let's go. So from blank page to book launch party, there you go. It's about 4 to 5 months if someone is bringing us a completed manuscript. So we'll work with people there too. If they're going, well, I've got this Word document I've been sitting on for the last 3 years. We have a process. Our editorial team will conduct an editorial assessment to say, yeah, this is good. You know, I mean, we will vet those manuscripts for quality and content. And if they pass and we clear them for a copy edit, then it's about a 4 to 5 months. They'll go copy editing, cover design, interior layout and design, proofreading, and then we'll move them into publishing and printing. And again, we have timelines on our website, our whole process.
I've always heard that everyone has a book in them. Have you heard that before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. At least one book in them. We all have a very unique story. No one's ever lived the same life we have. So everyone has their book of stories that they could share. And whether, like you were saying earlier, maybe that's just a book you want to give to your grandkids, just to share your legacy. Or if it's something you want to give to millions of people around the world and everything in between. But just because everyone has the story in them and has a book, who's a strong candidate to actually write that book, work with you, and go through the entire process? Like, what kind of mentality do they need to have going into this process?
Yeah, good question. You know, as we get into our 40s, 50s, 60s, those can be really sweet, amazing periods of influence and passing down the baton to a newer generation as it relates to your expertise, your stories. And so I think in that realm is who we work best and most with on the book writing side, because they're ready. You know, they're going, guys, I've done it. You know, I'm not hustling anymore. I hustled. You know, I built this, I did this. Or I am doing this. You know, we aren't limited to authors in their 30s and 40s. Some of them are doing brilliant things and they want a book to bolt on to their, again, founder brand, which is great. But it's really fun to work with that humble individual that's going, really, me? My story? Who would want? And you're going, are you kidding me? You know, you see some of these guys that just have these accomplishments. It's like, the world does need what you have to share. And they're going, no. And it's like, yeah, you. In that kind of ICP, like you mentioned, Mandy.
Hey, Mandy, I know you said you've written a book. Do you want to tell us about that? Because I don't know anything about it. You're just offhand, you're like, oh, yeah, I wrote this one book, and it's about AI. And I'm like, what? Like, where's this book? Where's this book, Mandy?
I probably need Will's help
Okay.
on that. I wrote it in earlier this year, and I wrote it with the help of Claude and ChatGPT. So it doesn't have that emotional connection yet. I dropped it because honestly, I was doing too much at the time, but you know, I'll pick it up eventually when the time comes. But I think there's some important things I think people need to know about marketing strategy and how AI is going to reshape marketing strategy in the future. What I hear every day is, I'm going to lose my job. And it's from marketers all the time. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job. AI is going to take over. And I don't agree with that. I think that AI is going to reshape the way we do marketing and reshape how we do it and how fast we get to market. I think it's going to reshape jobs. And if you're not reshaping and redefining what you're doing in an organization within marketing going forward, utilizing AI, yes, you will be left behind. Just reshape what you're doing today to adjust with AI.
Well, Manny, I know you've got a book in you, and if it's not on AI, it's on something else. You've led a really fun, colorful life. It's funny. I heard or read an article yesterday about the number one music hit song that's out right now is all AI. It's a country singer that's made up, not a real person. The voice is not real, but it's hit the number one spot on the charts. And so, that's art, right? I mean, songs, singing, that's an art form. So I'm curious, Will, do you ever feel like there's going to be a number one bestseller, selling millions of copies, all written by AI?
Maybe. And I'm not, here to say one way or another, no, that'll for sure happen, or yes, that's absolutely going to happen. Mm-hmm. Look, all we can control is ourselves, right? And what we've been called to steward in front of our faces is human-led organization. Joel, Justin Rickliff's, another mutual friend of ours who, he gets it too.
He's the give a damn guy, right?
Yeah. And Justin's a good friend. And I think that human is all we're going to have. Mm-hmm. AI right now is the worst it's ever going to be. And so if that's the case, we return to thank you notes, for heaven's sake, writing them. It's the only way we're going to be able to stand out. And Mandy, I agree with you. I love the tweet a year or two ago where the guy goes, AI isn't going to replace you. The person using AI is going to replace you. Is the sentiment you shared. And so we're going more in-person book parties, more let's get together, more team retreats 3 or 4 times a year. It's just, we're going to have to start thinking about things that way. And so I'm not concerned about the music. That's interesting, but I don't fret too much on AI-based bestsellers because I'd rather help more Marks and Mandys and tell real human. And the people who use AI to write their books, they have to reckon with that themselves. Do you want your great-grandchild reading a book that...
Gotcha. Okay. So the people that we're talking to for this podcast, our audience, is ideally people in the financial services community, whether it's financial advisors, CEOs of those types of financial services companies, fintech founders. So can you tell us some of the most effective ways that those types of people can use books to grow their own business? Maybe share some examples of how previous business leaders that have written books have utilized this book post-launch to grow their personal brand, to grow their own business. Any stories you can share with us?
Yep, absolutely. I was actually just talking about this, briefly with Peter Maluk a couple weeks ago. Joel, we sat at the same table, and Peter gets it. Look,
Peter Maluk, the president of creative planning, so a big RIA firm in the United States. Yeah,
I'd say maybe a fourth of the authors are in the financial industry space who we have worked with. Why? Because they get it. It's what sets you apart from the guy next door.
It's crazy. A fourth are in financial services. Wow.
Yeah, because they know to stand out, people want to know their story. Mm-hmm. They need to build trust. Some people say that like a book's a business card. It is and it isn't. I think it's deeper than that, because you actually get to build that rapport with your clientele without even meeting them. Again, you plant seeds, and then who knows when they'll grow. From Dave Ramsey on down. Why him? Why him for financial peace? My co-founder Alex tells that he did a tour of Ramsey Solutions, and on their wall they have a giant timeline. Guess what the first bullet point is in 1990? Alex has a picture of this. It says, Dave Ramsey self-publishes Financial Peace.
Wow.
So you want to talk about, leverage?
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to that number, that 50. Are you finding that they're mostly financial advisors, or are you finding, founders of financial services companies and their executives from banks? What part of the financial services industry are you finding your clients from?
I'd say all the above. You know, the biggest hurdle some have to go through is just clearance. We work with a lot of independent advisors that can just roll with it and do their own thing.
Yeah. How big of a job is that for a compliance team to review an entire book? I mean, it takes days for them to review one flyer. Do you send them a page at a time, a paragraph, like a chapter at a time? How does that process work?
Yeah, I probably can't speak to it as best as some of our authors could.
Yeah.
We're just on standby. We say, hey,
okay.
you go mess with compliance. We're here when that happens.
And most of the time, the financial advisors that are writing the books, they're not talking about investment philosophy generally. I mean, Mark's book has zero financial philosophy, and that's the biggest thing that compliance is worried about. Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, men and women right now are beating their head against the wall because they're going, I've got all this knowledge and expertise. I post it on LinkedIn, does nothing. I post a picture of me and my dad out fishing and I catch a bass and it's the best thing I've ever posted on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You want to talk about storytelling? This all comes back to what you said, Mandy.
Yeah.
And so that's what we said. It's not 7 principles to saving and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, people are done with it. They want to know why you were a cop for 20 years and then felt led to helping people manage their...
Yeah, it's like, tell me why you became a financial advisor. Why did you start this firm? What's the end goal? Like, why did you take this journey? Like, who are you trying to help? Get that emotional connection, and that then increases credibility and trust with the people you're trying to work with.
Exactly. It's kind of like in the movie Cars. You got to turn right to turn left. Financial advisors, their natural inclination is to share their knowledge, that thousands of others could share. No, you need to share what makes you unique and stand out above the rest.
Yeah, everybody can go to ChatGPT and type in, put together a financial plan for me, or put together a marketing plan for me, or write a book for me, but that's not going to be the same as someone sitting across from you, guiding you through the ups and downs of life and the struggles of the stock market and the emotions around that. You need that personal connection with your trusted financial partner.
Yeah, I'm going to tie that back to marketing as well, right? Like you talked about ensuring that you have that unique value proposition in a book. Just as much as for brands, you need that unique value proposition when you're selling a product, when you're selling a service, when you're selling a platform. That unique value proposition and finding that white space that allows you to thrive and create that uniqueness about yourself is just as important for your own storytelling in your own book as it is for your own brand.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's storytelling. It's marketing. It runs through even the most black and white businesses. It's how companies stand out. There's just so many people out there doing exactly what you're doing, and if you don't have your own unique story, you're just going to get lost in the sea of sameness. I feel like that should be the name of our podcast. I feel like I say that on every single episode.
I would say if anyone is listening to this, and this idea of maybe not even, why me? There's this other idea of I'm not trying to self-promote, right? I'm not trying to be an influencer. I would just affirm you and say, we're not trying to turn you into one. This idea of you may not be a somebody, right? A Tony Robbins or whoever we look up to, or Taylor Swift, who's our neighbor now here in Kansas City. You are also not a nobody. You are anybody. And at one point, Dave Ramsey was too. He was just an anybody who liked helping people steward their wealth and steward their finances. And so whether it is this listenership or anyone you might know, you don't have to be on either of those spectrums. You're somewhere in the middle, and that is great. It's what are you going to do with it, would be my encouragement.
Yeah, great pieces of advice. I like that where you're saying you're not trying to become a multimillionaire by writing a book or telling your story. You're just trying to share what's inside of you with the people that you care about or you want to help. So I think if you start with that mindset of how can I help people with the knowledge that I have about whatever the topic is, I think that altruistic focus is going to resonate most with your ideal audiences. So, do you guys have a favorite book that you recommend to everybody? I can start. That's the one that I always bring up. It's a book called Goals by Brian Tracy. My very first job out of college was at a financial planner's office. Go figure. And he gave the book to everybody that worked on the staff. And I reread that book every few years and revisit my goals. And I feel like the goals that I set for myself in my 20s, I've achieved. And now I have to come up with new goals. But that's a book that I gave my kids. So that's the one I recommend to anybody.
I have one book completely outside of the business realm that I constantly recommend to people who are pregnant. It's called The Baby Whisperer by Dr. Tracy Hogg. And within 6 weeks, she had my infant sleeping through the night.
Oh, wow.
And with me getting more than enough sleep at that point. So
book
I
is worth its
recommend
weight.
that. Yeah, worth its weight.
Worth its weight in diamonds. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And Will,
I shared Arthur Brooks earlier from Strength to Strength is a great one. I'd also say might be low-hanging fruit. If you guys know The Psychology of Money.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
By Morgan Housel. I think that book should be required reading. And he just released his new one, which is How to Spend Money. I mean, you got and why people like Morgan Housel. He's a great storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I would say is Sacred Pace by Terry Looper. That's the last one I'll give you. But that book changed my life last year. And it's all about a pioneer who is going in his life, and then he has this crash, and kind of how he built his life back up by pursuing a more sustainable pace in his life.
That's great. Those are great recommendations. We'll put it in the show notes. I find a lot of business leaders have a personal book list that they recommend to everybody. I know Mark has that list on his website, and he shares with all of his connections. I've worked with a billionaire founder of a company, and he had his own book list that he recommended to people as well. So I think if there are books that you as a business owner or founder find have helped you grow to the success that you've gotten to, then I think that's something you should share with your community. You put it on your website, and that just gives people more understanding of who you are as an individual, kind of the culture of the firm, where that founder's focus is. And so that'd be a recommendation that I would give to everybody is if you do have a favorite book list, don't gatekeep it, share it with the world. So any other last thoughts, Mandy, Will, about storytelling, book publishing, anything like that?
I think that we've heard lots of great stuff from Will today around publishing and storytelling with your own story and through authorship and writing books. And there's a lot of information that he's shared that is very familiar from a marketing standpoint and what we do to help founders, to help brands, to help people grow. Storytelling has to have the emotion in it. It's got to have a unique value proposition and own a white space within your book. And you need to really have that human element. AI can't do it all for you. You need that human element, that one-to-one storytelling, and to really be able to pull out the best things about yourself, about your book, about what you're writing about. Did I summarize that well, Will?
Absolutely. And what I would add to that, Mandy, would be anytime you start a big project, whether it's a book or a website redesign or anything like that, you start with the end in mind. You identify who your audience is, who you're talking to, figure out what kind of value you're providing to that individual client profile, the avatar, and right to that individual person. So essentially you're marketing to one person. So forget about B2B, B2C, or B2 whatever content you're creating, you're trying to resonate with that one human being that you're trying to provide value to and connect with and have your message resonate with.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, Mandy, you said, did I summarize it well? No, that was a great summary. And I think the last thing along the lines of start with one, we love this line of, someone you have yet to meet is counting on you to get better today. And so it's cool to think about if your listener here is going, man, who is that person that is counting on you to take action today, to get better today? It doesn't necessarily have to be the subject matter of what we've discussed. It could be mentally, physically. It's like someone is counting on you to take those steps to get a little bit better each day until it's made clear why that was the case. But it's true, too. Someone was counting on that first coffee meeting between me and Mark Schaefer, and last night in a room of 100 is what it led to. And Joel, it was fun to be in the room with you. Mandy, I can't wait till maybe a little Blue Jays Royals action up north of the border. We'll make it happen. And
yes.
Until that day, I'm so grateful for y'all's time, for this platform, for you guys inviting me on your podcast. Keep going. I'm honored to be one of the first few guests.
And speaking of first steps, so the first step if you want to write a book is go to shareyourstory.com and figure out what path you want to go down. You have lots of different options for people, I know, but I think that's the first step is just to sign up, get information, and Will and his team will guide you down that path to success.
You got it. Thank you, Joel, for the shout out. Would love to talk with you.
Appreciate coming on.
Thanks so much, Will.
Thank you, guys. Have a
Bye.
great day.